This class is brought to you by the LA Care and Blue Shield Promise Community Resource Centers. The centers are a place to help you be active, healthy, and informed. We hope you enjoy this virtual class.
Hi, everybody. I want to welcome you into my presentation on herbs that can aid your digestion. This is a nutrition education component. My name is Charmaine Vega, also known as Mama Vega. I want to present this to you because many of you would have seen, not everybody, but many of you would have seen some of my cooking presentations. And you'll notice that in those particular presentations, there are some herbs that I use over and over again. The reason I'm using those herbs is because it aids your digestion. And in this time that we're dealing with COVID and so many other things where we're confined, not all of us are confined, but you feel like you're confined at home, you're not getting out as much, you're not as active. You may even be eating a little bit more food than you would normally be eating. And so therefore, you're more sedentary, you feel like you're gaining weight. You may not be going to that bathroom as much as you should, because in general, you should be going to the bathroom between 3 and 5 times a day. Yes, that many times a day is how often you should be going, and that's the number 2, not just number 1. And we all know what that means when they say, did you do number 1 or number 2? So you should be doing that to get rid of any of the food that you would have eaten, because if it stays in your body, it presents toxins. So this presentation, I want to share with you some herbs that I use in my cooking that actually helps to aid digestion. It also has some other uses as well. Many of these herbs, as many things do, they have multiple uses. So I want to share those uses that you can use it for. However, before I go into that particular aspect of the presentation, I would like to share with you a disclaimer that I have. And the reason I do that is because from a health standpoint, we want to make sure that I'm giving you the best information that I can. So here is my disclaimer. The information contained in this presentation is meant to get you started, just started, connecting the dots so you can do more research on your own. Dig a little deeper and find what works for you. That's what's very important, because everybody's body is different. Just because I'm giving you these particular things, that does not mean it's going to work for you. It could be something that works for someone else, but may not work for you because of any number of factors that's going on with your physiology, okay? All information, content, and material of this presentation is for informational purposes only, and are not intended to serve as a substitute for consultation, diagnosis, and or medical treatment of your qualified physician or healthcare provider. The information contained in this presentation is compiled from a variety of sources and is not considered complete. And I say that because there are so many other things that can be added. There's so many things you can add to your food, many other herbs, not just these. This is not a complete listing. Therefore, it is not meant to be a scientific analysis in any way, shape, or form. Information is subject to change without notice. And we all know that because we see with COVID and all the other things, how it's what they call liquid, fluid. It's constantly moving here, there. One day they say something, the next day they say something different, next week something even more different from that, and it becomes confusing. So that's why I'm saying whatever I'm presenting here is what I know of today. There are some of these herbs that I'm presenting to you that go back centuries. So they are still constant in what they can do, but not everything is going to be constant. Okay, so I want to make sure that I'm very clear with that. Okay, so I've given you the disclaimer. Now what I want to do is I want to be able to show you some of the herbs and stuff that would be used, and I'm going to show you some of those pictures if I can get to that and be able to share that screen with you. So if I can share that screen, then I will share that with you and have you to see what that one looks like. And I have to go over here and be able to find where that is on my share screen, if I can get it. And it looks like here it is right here. So I'm going to present some of the pictures to you so you can see what these pictures actually look like of some of the ones I'm going to share here. And these are the ones you're going to be able to see here. Okay, now I've shown you the pictures of the ones that I'm going to share with you. I'm going to show you and give you some information on how they aid your digestion, how you can use them in cooking, and where they originated from, because you might be surprised on some of the ones that I have here of where they actually originated. And that's important sometimes for us to know where they originated, because sometimes that tells us how to actually use them. So I'm going to go back to my other slide that I had, and I'm going to go up to the beginning. And here, the first one I'm going to do is, I bet you didn't know this is what cumin looks like. When you see cumin in the stores, it's usually brown. This color right here, you'll see that it's brown. Okay, but there's an older or another variety of it, which is called the blessed seed or the black seed. It's black cumin, which is native to the Middle East, which stretches all the way to India. So you will see in a lot of the Indian restaurants, a lot of the Indian grocery stores, you will find what they call the black seed or black cumin. And the reason that it's goes so far back, it's actually mentioned in the Bible, in the Old Testament. It was also found in Tutankhamun's tomb in Egypt. And what's very important about that is that when they bury things with someone who's in a tomb, they bury them with things that's going to help them in the afterlife. And this particular seed is one of those that has so many benefits that they say it can cure anything and everything with the exception of death. That's the only thing it can't cure, but that's how important this particular one is. And that's whether it's the black seed happens to be more potent, and you can also get black seed oil. You can get it in an oil form. But this, when it's in this seed form over here, this is what it looks like. These would be the stamens or the stamens that you see when it blossoms, and you get the seed out of these little pods up here. That's where they come from. And this is what the flower looks like, which is a very beautiful flower. However, look at some of the things that it's good for. It's good for asthma, bronchitis, inflammation. It increases mother's milk. It promotes digestion, which is the one that we're looking at. It also kills parasites. If some person in some other, especially in the Middle East or in India, they use it a lot for parasites, and you take it. And this particular black seed up here, you can get it, and it has almost like a peppery flavoring to it, which is a little bit different from the brown one over here. The peppery flavoring, you can take it and grind it up, or you can turn it into an oil. It helps with skin conditions, upper respiratory colds, and you would see that it's, the respiratory, the colds, and that's why I'm presenting it now, because we're getting ready to get into the flu and cold season. We have stomach ache, hair loss. A lot of us, as we start getting older, we start looking at that. Insect stings, diabetes, and a colon cleanse. So that's just some of the things that it could be good for. And I use it, when I do it, I grind it up sometimes, and I use it as a pepper. So even though I may be using a black pepper, and black pepper can be used as well, but it's not quite the black seed, and it doesn't have the things in it, the same thing. The black pepper does not have the same things in it that the black seed does, or the black seed oil, but the flavoring is very similar, so you can use it as a substitute. So that is something you can substitute, but for healing purposes, they're completely different. Okay, so that's one thing. And many of you are familiar with this one, which is sea salt. And this specifically is the Celtic sea salt, or some people say Celtic, some people say Celtic. What's very interesting about this is it comes in different colors. And based on the color, that's telling you some of the minerals that it may have. In general, both the Celtic sea salt and the Himalayan salt, they have between 82 and 84 minerals that your body is normally used to. And that's where you will see it right over here. It has the trace minerals that your body needs. So these salts are very good, and it doesn't necessarily increase your high blood pressure or anything like regular table salt does. Regular table salt is different. And this is where I talk about table salt, the one that you just buy right off the shelf. This is why the Celtic sea salt is different. One, it's from France and it's processed differently because it'll come in like over here. You see the tide will come in and then it deposits the water, but when it goes back out, it leaves the salt. Then what happens is the wind and the sun will come and it'll bake it and it dries it out. So it's done naturally. It's dried in the sun and the wind naturally. However, the table salt that you normally get in the stores, when you just pick it up and you buy it and you think, oh, okay, I'm adding some salt. The problem with that is that it's been stripped of the nutrients. Okay, it's been iodized, it's been bleached, and it's been diluted with, and it's been added, all these other agents have been added to it. Whereas the Celtic sea salt is, it still retains some of its moisture, so it doesn't have any ingredients in it that would prevent caking. So it may cake a little bit on you, and you just kind of like hit the sides of it and shake it and it'll shake loose on you. But it's better for you because once again, it has 82 to 84 of the trace minerals that's needed. And the other thing is because it's so potent and so strong, you only need a dash of it. So if you see my cooking videos, you'll notice that I just use a pinch here and there and I just kind of sprinkle it on top. And I won't say, oh, use a half teaspoon or a half a tablespoon or an eighth of a teaspoon or anything. I'll say use a pinch. I'll say just use a pinch and sprinkle it on. And that's the reason, because it's very potent. What's interesting about the black Celtic sea salt is that it is higher in sulfur. So if you happen to be plant-based, a vegan, or a vegetarian, what's interesting about this is if you sprinkle this on things that would normally have eggs in it, it gives it the egg taste without adding egg to it because of the high sulfur content. So it'll make it taste like you've added eggs, which is good if you want something like a potato salad and you feel like you want to have that additional flavoring in it, that other flavor. You can use that for that particular purpose. But the best thing about the Celtic sea salt is that it has these trace minerals. So it's putting the minerals back in your body. And that's what I have over here. I'm showing you over here where it's high in mineral content and its ability to hold water. It lowers blood pressure instead of raising it. It contains electrolytes. How do you like that? The other thing that contains a lot of electrolytes that are very good for you is coconut water, not coconut milk, not coconut cream, but the coconut water, the clear one. And you can get electrolytes from that. This particular one here, the salt itself is, it has calcium and potassium. And I've already told you, all you need is just a pinch. And if you take a pinch of this, you put it in water and you drink it, you're now going to get some electrolytes. How do you like that? So you don't have to go and get some of these other things that they have on the market. If you buy the salt, look at all the things you're getting just by using this salt, which means it's eliminated. You've eliminated now having to buy a whole bunch of other ingredients just by getting this particular salt, and you're only using a pinch at a time, okay? It relieves rheumatoid arthritis, psoriasis. It exfoliates, so you can take it and you can put it in your bath water if you want to put it in your bath water. And when you take a bath with it, you rub it on your skin and it'll take the dead skin off. And it'll help you to sleep because by you taking a bath in it and going to sleep afterwards, it kind of gives you a calming effect. And then you can also use it to brush your teeth and stabilize any bacteria that may have been in your mouth. So you have all these things on this particular list that it's good for, and there's probably a ton more. But these were the basic ones that I found that I wanted to make sure, because these are the most common, and it seems like these are the ones that many of you have expressed that you had concerns about. So I only wanted to pick out those things that were most common to you. The next slide I have is fennel. Now, I bet you didn't know these little seeds over here. Where fennel is used, you'll find it a lot in like, say, Italian sausage or in Italian recipes and things of that nature. And it has more of a licorice type of taste to it. If you don't like licorice, you may not like it. But if you add it to some of the other things, it takes away that licoricey type of taste, and it enhances whatever is with it. I'm sure you've seen this in the grocery store. I'm sure you've seen this plant. You didn't realize that this plant, the seeds from this plant, is what you get over here. But in this one, you can use the seeds. You can use this top part. It looks almost like dill, but it's not. It's not dill. And then you have the bulb part. So in this particular plant or herb, you can use the entire plant itself. There's nothing that goes to waste, because you have the seeds, you have the top part that sometimes will flower, and then you also have this part down here, which is the bulb, which is more like an oniony type thing. This too is considered, it's from the Middle East or the Mediterranean, and I already said all parts can be eaten. The seeds have a taste similar to licorice. And India, what they do is they take the seeds and they coat it with a little bit of like a candy type thing. And you've probably seen it in the Indian restaurants when you get ready to go out, or they may have it in little pouches for you, and you can take it with you because it aids your digestion. So this particular little thing right here can aid your digestion. So if you add it to your food, and like I said, that's one of the things you'll see me add sometimes in some of my recipes is fennel. And the reason I'm adding it is to help aid digestion, especially for those recipes where I may be adding meat or something of that nature, because I want to make sure that the meat is digested well, you're chewing it well, you're getting it down, and this is going to help you digest that food. But look at this. Here's these little things that you can eat. And so now you know when you go to some restaurants and you see that they have this little candy dish, so to speak. Now they probably won't have it out like that. They may have it in, you'll find other places where they have it in little pouch or these pre-sealed envelopes, and they can give it to you almost like a chiclet. It would be in a little package like that, and you can take it. But that's the purpose behind it, is to aid your digestion. And that's what I have over here. Aids in digestion, bloating, constipation, colic, intestinal gas, flatulence. And that's a word for you. Flatulence just means gas. When you have the gas and it releases, and sometimes it'll have a smell, especially if you've eaten a lot of meat and it's like been sitting and fermenting, or something has fermented in your stomach. That's when you'll have that flatulent type gas smell. Okay. It reduces obesity because it helps to suppress the appetite, and it creates a feeling of fullness. It creates fullness feeling, right? So it's like really good for that. You also have where it can help anemia, diarrhea. It lowers the LDL. Okay, so it's going to lower that. It protects against cancer, regulates blood pressure, stimulates brain function, boosts your immune system. Well, it's aiding digestion to get rid of the food, but it's also helping to boost your immune system, which is now going to help you against viruses, bacteria, colds, all those kind of things. And again, we're getting ready to get into the cold and flu season. So you want to make sure that you're doing something along those lines to boost your immune system. This is one of those things that you can add to your food that's going to help reduce any type of bacteria or a virus that you may be prone to get. It acts like a mild, laxative to digest the food. Remember, up here we talk about it aids in digestion. So it's going to help push that food through your system, going all the way through so that you can get it out of your system. You will absorb what you need to absorb and get rid of what you don't need. And by eating it after a meal, it's going to also help with bad breath and help the digestion and all those things. So this is one of those things that now you see how beneficial these little seeds can be. And some of you may or may not have been using them. You'll also see that what I do oftentimes is I will say add Italian seasoning or something. And these are some of the herbs that are actually in the blend of Italian seasoning. But Italian seasoning, you see two different parsleys in the grocery stores. You see one that has a crinkly leaf, and you see another one that has a flat leaf. And that's why they call the one with the flat leaf Italian parsley. And the reason for that is because that's the one that's mostly used in Italy and, in the Italian recipes, because that's where it's originally from. It's found there. You'll also see bay leaves. I use bay leaves a lot when I'm making beans. The reason for that, it helps to protect what? It helps to prevent flatulence. Remember, we just learned that word, and that would be gas, which is why some people don't like to eat beans, because they say, oh, it gives me gas. Well, if you watch one of my other videos, you'll see I show you how to actually make beans. And one of the things I add to the beans is bay leaves. So you'll need to watch one of those other videos so that you can see when you add the bay leaves, because that's very important. It's not just adding them, but it's also when do you add them. So go to one of those other ones that talk about beans, and it will tell you exactly when you need to add these. Sweet basil. Sweet basil is from the Mediterranean, but you have another basil that has a minty taste to it, and that's more of an Asian basil. We also have sage, which is from Asia Minor, okay, and also the Mediterranean. You have rosemary. A lot of us know about rosemary or the rosemary bushes and everything, because that's how we keep what? A lot of people will put that around their houses to keep rodents away, bugs, insects. Right now we have this infestation of mosquitoes. It also helps with mosquitoes, keeping mosquitoes away. We also have thyme. Again, these are all the different ingredients. When I say, that Italian blend, and very good Italian blend is going to have all of these components in it. It'll have thyme, and that's like from southern Italy. The Romans used it in their bath. They took the thyme and actually put it in their bath water, and they bathed with it. And that's something else that you don't hear very much of, but you can go to the store, buy these herbs, put it in your bath water. You can then add a little bit of the Celtic or Celtic, whichever way you want to pronounce it, and you add that in your bath water. So it's almost like you're marinating yourself. Instead of you marinating, meat, or you're marinating the vegetables, what you're doing is you're marinating yourself. And the other thing you can add, if you're doing it as a bath on the side, is you can add a little bit of lavender or lavender oil to it. But you can add all these herbs to it, and then a little bit of the salt. And the salt is also going to help pull out any bacteria that may be in your body as well. It's going to help extract that. That's a part of what salt does, how it dries things out, or it's almost like a pulling agent. So when you put the salt in the water, what it does is it pulls all of the bacteria out of your organs, out of your body, and it's like things go out and things come in. So it's almost like you're creating a flow. So water goes out, water comes in, water goes out, water comes in. So what you're doing is you're taking these herbs, if you put it in your bath water and you put the salt in, you're creating it where now it's purifying your system. That's another way that you can do, just by putting it in your bath water. Italian seasonings, by doing it this way or cooking with it, you're now boosting your immune system. Again, we're going into that area in that time of the year when we need to boost our immune system. This also aids digestion. It's anti-inflammatory. It has antioxidants. It encourages weight loss. Remember, digestion, weight loss, immune system, all of this is all connected. It protects your cells against damage. It aids in the synthesis of collagen. Who wouldn't love that? Okay, by increasing collagen, what you're doing is you're helping your skin, you're keeping wrinkles away, and it's also helping with, the vitamin C, because of the vitamin C content. Maintains the integrity of your blood vessels, which means, again, it's going to help your heart. It's going to boost your memory. It improves your mood, lowers the risk of Alzheimer's. All of these things are things that these particular herbs are known for. This is the reason that I gave you the disclaimer at the beginning. I gave you that disclaimer at the beginning because I wanted to share all these things with you. And again, what did I say? I also said connect the dots. I want you to connect the dots and see what works for you. Okay? The next one I have is back to my disclaimer again. The information contained in this presentation is meant to get you started connecting the dots so you can do more research on your own. Dig a little deeper and find what works for you. All information, content, and material of this presentation is for informational purposes only and are not intended to serve as a substitute for the consultation, diagnosis, and/or medical treatment of your qualified physician or your healthcare provider. The information contained in this presentation is compiled from a variety of sources and is not considered complete. Therefore, it is not meant to be a scientific analysis in any way, shape, or form. Information is subject to change without notice. If you have a medical emergency, call your doctor or 911 immediately.
Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again next week and at one of our resource centers as soon as we can. Until then, stay active, healthy, and informed.